he's not able to be a monster at 175 because these guys are his size or bigger, and GVOZDYK can match his pace most importantly, but so can Bivol and so can Better Be. If they Let's talk science, concise combat analysis, how the monster began to look human. Hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me what you think of this fight, and tell me what you think should be next for both men. All right, let's get into it. Well, at first, to be fair, in those early rounds, BENAVIDEZ was looking kind of monstrous. He actually demonstrated some unique and newer approaches to his defense, not just coming forward behind a high guard and not moving his head, but entering behind some slips and level changes. And although that defense is welcome, ultimately it cost him more energy, which is going to build up to what we're going to talk about towards the end. So BENAVIDEZ has to come up with a lot of different strategies to deal with the constant probing lead hand of GVOZDYK, and one of the ways he does that, he builds off of the slips. So he catches a jab on his guard, closes the guard, and he knows that another lead hand is coming behind it, another probe. So he slips inside, kind of like how he was doing earlier, moving his head back and forth. And as he slips inside, he loads up on the left and then comes up top with a big jump in left hook. Was how easily it was when Better Be would jump into his jab, how easy it was for him to land it. Now, when he would not set up his jab, it was much harder, but he does like this little slight level change feint, and I think it breaks the rhythm and freezes GVOZDYK a little bit. Since BENAVIDEZ is finding some success with that left hook, he's building off of that here. Instead of doing the slip entry, he ducks, level changes, and it looks like he could be going potentially to the body, so GVOZDYK kind of responds that way, and he feints with the right hand, further manipulating the guard, further throwing GVOZDYK off, and jumps in with the left. So he's also jumping in with the left. Earlier I said he was jumping in, that was really more of a jump in. One thing that makes BENAVIDEZ's offense so hard to deal with is the dynamic angles his shots can come from, such a variety of angles. So it's going to be a similar setup. He's dealing with the probes, he's ducking and kind of like slipping from side to side, and you're going to see him sway his body, and he's loading up on the left just like how he did earlier, except those lefts can come around the side of the guard, or this is more of like a lead uppercut or like an up jab, so it comes up the middle through the opening. So he's going to change the angles depending on the opening that's available. Now, on both ends of the spectrum, it's dangerous for either of these men to sit there in a static high guard for GVOZDYK. BENAVIDEZ is going to create openings, blast through openings with his combos. Right here, he frames with the left, and he kind of like blinds, occupies the guard, keeps a hole there for the right hand to enter in through, and then he goes around the side of the guard with the left hook, and then he catches GVOZDYK ducking down, leaning forward with the uppercut. So if there's openings, it doesn't matter if there's openings there, BENAVIDEZ with his combo is going to create openings. So if you sit there in a static high guard, he's going to work. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, if BENAVIDEZ comes in with that static high guard, which GVOZDYK did a good job of making him enter that static high guard with the probe, he's going to blast through openings. He used the lead hand to occupy, hold it in place, and then blast through an opening in that new space that he created. BENAVIDEZ is so monstrous in so many of his fights because he has a snowball effect where he's walking forward and he's just using the high guard, uses no energy. So he's not wasting too much energy on defense, so he gets to do a lot with offense, and that's how he's able to overwhelm people and break them down. But GVOZDYK wasn't allowing that because that lead hand would go out, and it would mess with his guard and kind of like blind him at times, and then at times it would be a setup for actual offense, a lot of times actually. And so BENAVIDEZ isn't allowed to just come forward with a static high guard because GVOZDYK is going to pick it apart. BENAVIDEZ knows that when he's putting up a high guard, GVOZDYK is probing and jabbing at it. That's exactly what he does here. BENAVIDEZ puts up a high guard, but GVOZDYK jabs at it. And so BENAVIDEZ is going to feint as if he's going to put up a high guard just to pull out the jab. And you can tell he sets a trap because he's immediately responsive to the jab and tries to land the overhand right, and it partially lands. The thing about this performance is BENAVIDEZ is actually improving a lot with his skills. The problem is he's not able to be a monster at 175 because these guys are his size or bigger, and GVOZDYK can match his pace most importantly, but so can Bivol and so can Better Be. If they can match his pace, and they will be able to eat his shots, and they will be able to go over him skill for skill, and that poses a major problem for BENAVIDEZ if he wants to continue to fight at 175. Now, Plant was able to back up, reset, and freeze BENAVIDEZ from range, especially with his jab, whether it was a jab to the body, a jab up top, and you kind of glue that high guard in place. GVOZDYK can consistently and constantly back up David Benavidez, back him up, make him reset, slow him down, freeze him with some jabs. Then in the rounds where GVOZDYK was winning, it all came behind the lead hand, jabbing, probing, tapping, freezing Benavidez, stopping his forward momentum, and sometimes backing him up, actually, like right here. That's how he does right here. And there are so many examples where Benavidez is coming forward and that lead hand stops him in his tracks. The lead hand freezes him. He puts up the high guard and GVOZDYK is able to reset the range, and then sometimes he's able to follow up with combos behind it. So he backs him up with the lead hand. He's controlling the range with the lead hand, and then he's able to build off of that with actual offense. And that's when GVOZDYK was actually winning rounds and making Benavidez look very, very human. Now, this was a very interesting matchup, even more interesting than I originally thought. Tell me your thoughts down below in the comment section on both men, this performance, and what's next for both. I will see y'all later. Bye, scientists.